Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are. Welcome to our showcase today. And on this event, we are going to talk about uh, uh, we are going to tell your data story, building visual compelling dashboards. And as we are starting off, I want us to introduce my company, and we are Amli. And Amli, we are a data and AI company. We are based here in Dallas, Texas. So we have 50 plus years of experience, and we are vendor agnostic. So we try to make the best solution for your organization, for your needs, and we try to get the best solution that will fit all the needs that you want. So with me today, I have highly skilled individuals with me, and I'm going to introduce all of them. So at first, I'll start with Leonard Mwangi. Leonard is our CEO, and he has over 20 years of experience, and this is very important because he's able to bring all the knowledge. And mark you, he's been a developer and at the same time a CXO, so he'll tell us his story being on the both sides of the world. Next we have Martin Wambui. So Martin Wambui is our head of analytics here at Amli. So Martin is the brains and the engineer of our team. So he helps us to create those machine learning, to create those data strategies. Yeah. And lastly, we have Sami Chesire. Sami Chesire is our data and ML engineer here at Amli. So he brings a wealth of experience, and you'll want to listen to these stories. These people have a lot of shows and a lot of stories that you won't want to miss it today. So thank you all. And just a quick reminder, whenever you have questions, just you can put it there on the chat, and we'll get back to you. So thank you, and we can start. So uh, before we dive deep, before we dive into the charts, before we dive into the visuals and KPI, I want to take you through a short journey with me. So I know this, all of us, me included, we've all been lost at one point. Like you've gone to a new town, a new city, a new place, and you don't know your surroundings. So you find yourself lost, then you'll want to find your way around. So I'll tell you a story myself. So a while back, I found myself deep in a jungle. I was surrounded by thick vegetation. Looking around, all I can see was bushes, confusing paths. So walking around, I found myself that I was just walking in paths in circles. So it was strange, and it was overwhelming. And this feeling, I'm very sure all of us relate to it. So most of our organizations, we have thousands of records, and in these records we have like metrics flying everywhere. So on the people who are doing dashboards, on your dashboard you can find like you have multiple dashboard, and looking at the dashboard you're like, where do I begin? You're looking at this dashboard, you don't know like what is it trying to tell me? What is this dashboard really communicating? Is it telling a story? Is it solving a problem? So but going back to the story, you know what came to me? I had a map. So at first glance, I opened my map. So looking at it, I could just see colors, boxes, but then I noticed a path. So uh, looking at this path, I could see these colors are starting to make sense. The symbols, they started to give me a direction, and suddenly I was not lost. I was navigating. So this, my friends, is a well-designed dashboard. It becomes a map that helps you to find a meaning in chaos. So, uh, 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 so uh, today we are going to talk about Gestalt principle, and these principles are going to help us design dashboards that won't just look good, but actually will guide your eyes and your mind, and it will make you make good decisions. So on our panelists today, I'm going to invite Leonard. So I want Leonard to come and tell us a brief overview of the Gestalt principles. Thank you.
Thank you, Edgar, for that introduction. And hello, everyone. Yes, it's a great day, and we're going to talk about some of the key principles that you bring to the table when you're designing your dashboard or you're designing your report so that it can be successful, it can make sense to the users that you want it to tend to, or the story that you want to tell. So, looking at the Gestalt principles, it's actually a philosophy or psychological philosophy where you are looking at the whole. Think of a pie or think of an apple. So, if you were to cut a piece of apple, yes, that apple will serve whatever purpose that you want. That cut piece will serve whatever purpose that you want it to serve, but it does not replace the entire apple. So the Gestalt principles comes in when you want to look the holistic picture of what you're bringing to the table. So where it means that a subset of an item does not equal to the whole item. So you still want to look at, if we apply it now from the reports and dashboards perspective, it means that you have to look at the entire story of what you're trying to tell with your report or your dashboard, rather than just keys, specifics, or whether it's your KPIs, whether it's your pie charts, whether you have, let's say, bar charts or whatever. You have to look at the entire story. So that's actually what the Gestalt principles comes in. And this about 5 of them, I'm just going to highlight a few here from logical perspective so that it can make sense. And then from there, we'll actually touch on them as we progress through this presentation here. So let me give a scenario, just like Edgar had mentioned. So he was in a jungle, but this time we're going to navigate a little bit and get out of the jungle. Let's actually go to a park. If you go to a public setting park where there's multiple people, there's kids playing around, there's adults and everybody. And then in that park, you actually identify, you see a group of people. And this group of people, they are actually all together. So it's like, let's say, 5 different dads together. They're talking baseball, they're talking football, whatever they're talking. But you don't recognize any of them. So in that setting, it will be hard for you to, despite the fact that we might have common interest in football, whatever Kansas City team or whatever Dallas team that we do have, it will be hard for you to go and insert yourself in that conversation because you don't recognize any of them. And yes, if you do, yes, you might be accepted in it, but you're coming in as an outlier because it seems like it's people that know each other very well. They are passionate about what they're talking about, and they're there looking at their kids. So I cannot just walk from the streets and come and say, hey, I also enjoyed. Did you see that play last night? So that will be difficult. So that's what we talk about when we look at the proximity perspective. That group of people, they have a relationship together. So when you translate that to a dashboard or to a report, it's the same situation. You want to have things that relate together. You want to have them in proximity perspective. You want to have them together. And then the other one that we can be able to talk about is similarity. So in the similar setting, we are in a park, and this time we see people wearing t-shirts that say it's grandma's 50th, not 50, maybe grandma 90th birthday. So there's like tens of people that are wearing that t-shirt, and they all seem to be happy in the park, but you don't have that. So in that scenario, you still don't belong. So this is now where the similarity comes into picture, because at that point, for you to be part of that group, for you to be able to engage or be involved in the activities that they're doing at the park, you have maybe to know someone, or you have maybe to belong to that, the celebration that we have for grandma for 90th birthday. So that's where the similarity comes into picture. When people are when you have content in a dashboard and they are similar, they are talking about, let's say, for instance, you're talking about sales. You would not go in your dashboard and you show a visual of sales, and then the next one you're showing the HR headcount, and then the next one we are looking at counting our expenditures. So that would be difficult to do. So what you want to do in your dashboard is you want to have that similarity, the content that you're trying to convey, so that all of it can come together, so that whenever your users are looking at that dashboard or they're looking at that report, they can be able to, or they can be able to tell the story that you want to tell. The other ones that we do have, and I'm going to, as I mentioned, I'm going to just touch on a few here, but we're going to look at this entirely as we progress with this event here, is the closure. So if you look at how our mind works, and let me give you a scenario where you have a circle, but that circle, it's just your normal circle, but it's kind of divided, right? So you look at it and your brain is still able to make sense of what it's seeing, because yes, I can see its circle, but even though there is gaps between the line, the connections, I can still be able to make that sense that it's conveying a circle. So it's the same also concept that we want to bring in when we're designing our reports and our dashboard, where if you enclose content, our mind automatically assume that that's content that's related together. So we want to be aware of some of these pieces here, so that when you're driving the processes or when you're designing this dashboard, you're not finding yourself in that situation where your users are lost. They are not sure what you want them to look at. But when you're designing it, you want to make sure that you have that proximity, similarity, continuity, figure ground, common regions, all that. And we'll look at that when we look at some of this content. So I want to invite Sami, one of my panelists here, so that we can talk about some of the significant improvements that you can be able to have in a dashboard to make it usable and to have that, the wow factor to the dashboard. So Sami, do you mind to walk us on some of the pieces there that we can be able to do to improve our presentation?
Thank you, Leonard, and welcome everyone. So thank you, Leonard has taken us through quite what these Gestalt principles are and what they really mean. And so for me, I just want to come in and now make use of these principles in a practical way. And so just as Leonard has used a story in a park, for those who love soccer like me, and I know when you go to a stadium to watch a soccer game, or even if you've really watched it on TV or anywhere else, you find that when there are two teams playing, we have like one team that has like their jerseys are in a different color, and another team are their jerseys are in a different color. It even goes beyond even the fans of those teams coming with their team jerseys just to show that they belong to this particular team. And so that principle also applies to us when we are building our dashboards. And for this, I'm talking about the principle of similarity. So assuming we have a dashboard that is a financial dashboard, and we have different KPIs that we want to show to our end users. So for this case, let's assume that we have KPIs that relate to revenue, we have KPIs that relate to expenses, and we have KPIs that relate to profit. And so for this, we really want to show our users that this is a group of KPIs that show one aspect of revenue, this one show the aspect of expenses, and this one show the aspect of profit. And for these, we can use like different colors to really show the distinction between these types of KPIs. And so this really just helps us, it becomes easy on our eyes when you look at the dashboard, and we are able to tell that, yes, this is a different color and this one shows revenue. This is a different color and this one shows expenses. And this one is a different color and this one shows profit. And so for this, the principle of similarity basically helps us as users to maintain some sort of clarity in our dashboards. And we are also be able to have like a sort of cohesion and quick interpretation of our KPIs in our dashboards. And so for this, I'd also like to pull in Martin. And so what I really want Martin to tell us is, in your experience, Martin, have you come across a situation where these Gestalt principles have been applied either incorrectly and they have been able to cause some sort of confusion? Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Sami. The answer is absolutely yes. This is a very common mistake, and I'll give you one of the examples. Is applying color inconsistently and overusing the color. I'll give you an example. For example, you using the same shade of green for both sales growth and maybe the sales decline. So in that case, two completely unrelated metrics, they will imply that there is a positive correlation and have a shared meaning, but this one is growth and this one is a decline. So in that case, you may have misled the viewer. So by creating a false connection, especially when the color is a strong visual cue, similarity, grouping unrelated KPIs too closely without even clear separation can suggest they belong together. So these are a few of the common mistakes that people use when they are we apply color and grouping using color. So I want Sami to tell us, how does this principle enhance understanding of data relationship, and in what ways do Gestalt principles help viewers quickly make sense of complex data sets?
Thank you, Martin, for that chime in from your experience. And so now we've seen these principles, and we really now want to relate them to our real life and what they help us to understand the relationships in our data. And so, as human beings, we really struggle to sometimes understand things that are complex, and our brains just want to make understanding of what we see with our eyes. And so, for our dashboards, we want to build them in a way that they are not complex to us, and our brains do not struggle to get hold of what the dashboard is trying to put across. And so for these Gestalt principles actually help us to make understanding. And so when we talk about the principle of proximity, and so for this we are actually having related KPIs next to each other, so that when you have a look, your brain knows that these KPIs are related to each other. And so we also have another principle of continuity, and for this principle is built from our line of vision. And so most of us, when we look at a dashboard, we tend to look at it from the left side, moving to the far left, coming to the bottom left, and then to the far right. And so we really want to put our very most important KPIs on the left side of our dashboard, so that it becomes easy, and we put it in a line of vision that relates to how our vision looks like. And I've spoken about similarity, and this is where we really relate it to like two teams having different jerseys for distinction. And so for this, we want to have different KPIs and metrics that relate to each other with the same color. And so what these principles really do to us is that they help us as the user. We do not have to like consciously walk our way through the layout. The layout has been put in a way that it is easier for us to understand the patterns and the relationships that are in the dashboard. And so placing these charts near each other and using like similar colors reinforces the relationships. And so they help us to drive a more faster and accurate analysis. And so when we use these principles, we are really making our dashboards a tool for insight and not just a tool for display. And so now I want to pull in Martin back again and ask Martin. So we say that these principles really help us to understand the relationships in our data. And so can two principles really be counterproductive, or do we need to like find a sort of balance? Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, Sami. In this case, let's imagine your company logo or your company colors have 5 colors, and this is not a good practice. You should not have so many colors in your company logo. And now, because you want to use those colors to make sure that your dashboard is relating to your company, and you want to use those 5 colors in your dashboards. So there's this saying, we say that if every element stands out, there's nothing stand out. So you give too many colors, and actually viewers will not understand what is standing out. So viewers, they doesn't know where to look first. This makes the dashboard harder to read and understand. And that's why it's important to use design element with intention, not just apply colors just because you have 5 colors and you have to make sure the intention is applied right. So only highlight what really matters. Keep the most simple and consistent. Keep things simple and have a consistent, so that the key insight can shine through. Think it like a storytelling. You don't shout every sentence. you emphasize the important part that you want your listener to take note of it. So I want Elena to tell us that, to help us to understand, does this need do the needs of executive versus analytic change how we apply these principles?
Thank you, Martin. And I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. I thought we could have a flower garden dashboard, like we have all colors in it, so that it can look pretty and all that. But yes, absolutely. When we talk about the colors consistency, I think you nailed it, because you want to tell a story. You don't want to distract your users, because once you distract your users, the story is already lost. So those are some of the principles that we do have, especially for us in this side when we're designing both the reports and the dashboards, and we'll get in that here in just a moment. But now from the executive's perspective, the figure ground, that's where that concept clearly comes into picture. And what that concept means is that you make the data sets that stand out, right? Make key data sets that stand out from the background. But now from the executive perspective, we are designing a dashboard. This dashboard usually is the high level of the data underneath the report. So I want to have those key elements, so the KPIs that are specific to the concept that I'm trying to drive. And if you think of a dashboard perspective, I can have KPIs that relate to all types of business, because from the executive perspective, I'm trying to nail in on how we're doing on this department, how we're doing on this product, how we're doing on sales, all that good stuff. They are all together. So in that scenario there, from a dashboard perspective and from executive perspective, you want to have the dashboard that have the high level data, and then they can be able to drill down into that data set there and now be able to get the actual numbers. So if I wanted now to see what was our actual sales by month, so now I don't have to have a KPI. I can put that on a dashboard. I want to put that now on a report so that I can be able to drill down to that. So that's the key delineation when it comes to an executive dashboard versus the report that you have from an analyst. Because you want to show high level data so that we can see how the business is performing or how the organization is performing. And then from the analyst perspective, or if you have executives that have that analytical mind, they can now be able to go to the actual dashboard and be able to drill in and get the key pieces that we do want. And it's kind of what we are depicting here. On this preliminary dashboard here, where we have the KPIs, and we'll talk about this a little bit more. So I want to take it back to Martin, and let's just talk about the effectiveness or any effectiveness and ineffectiveness of applications when you're doing these dashboards and the colors and what kind of entails all that.
Thank you so much, Leonard. And this now we are going to see the practical part of it. So if you look at your dashboard here, we want to take note of some few of the Gestalt principles that have been applied. And let's say, like we said about proximity or grouping things that are rated to have to see the user to see whether they are grouped. Let's start at the KPIs, like the current year sales, COGs, profit, and inventory. So these KPIs, they are grouped at the top. So as a viewer, you actually know that they are talking about the same things. And also you look at the graphs, the way they are applied at the middle, and then you have below, there's a table. There's that consistency. So another thing that we're gonna look here is, not sharing.
Yeah, we can see your dashboard, Martin. I think you shared, and then you presented, and then you unpresented.
I see what happened there.
There we go. Now we can see it. Thank you.
Sorry for that. We had I think I had some disconnection. So I was saying, like the top KPIs, they are grouped together, as you can see. So as a viewer, you can be able to have a relation in your mind without even thinking of it. You don't even realize it comes automatically that these things are grouped there. So the visuals, the way charts are placed at the middle, and then there is the at the bottom, you can be able to see there is the tables there. Another thing is we see also about the consistency of colors. You can see, for example, at the top of every KPI, there's some bluish there, and also at the top of each chart. So that's a consistency of colors. There's continuity, and like look at the filters. The filters are grouped at the left side. That's grouping. So that's being grouped there. You can be able to see those are filters, and they've been grouped at the in a similar situation. Colors, the way we said, we are applying colors to show that there's an increase. If you compare the sale for last year and the previous and current year, there's an increase and if there's a decline, you show with the red colors. So there are various a principle applied in this dashboard, and I want Leonard to tell us, even though the principle has been applied, what are the few areas we can adjust to make sure that it's even more better in this dashboard?
Thank you, Martin. So one thing that I love about this team here and our organization is that we eat our own dog food. So before we take it to market, we'll first of all eat it. So we love critiquing what we actually put to a customer before actually the customer sees it. So this dashboard here, and I love the fact that the team is calling me to critique our own work here. I think we just lost your share again. If you don't mind to reshare, that way we can walk through it. Thank you. Yeah, so this dashboard here, as Martin said, the principles are applied, but not all of them. So one of the key pieces that I look here and I see is I love the story that we're trying to tell, which I can see there is that upward trend, the green markers there. I can see there's a downward trend when it comes to our inventory. The red markers are the very far, yes, right there. But when now we look at that first level, I see CY sales, CY COGs, CY profits. Sometimes our users will not be able to interpret what that is. So when you're designing a dashboard, when you're designing a report per se, you want to make sure that you provide some level of explanation, because sometimes the reason why we abbreviate things is because of the real estate that we do have. So that becomes an issue there. But we would ideally, and I do see we have a grocery on the far bottom left. Yes, I was trying to figure out my left and right. So we do have that. But then the other things that I do see in this dashboard that may not really be appealing to me as a consumer or as a user is, first of all, the trends that we do have for our first visualization, which is the bar chart with the line chart that's labeled CY sales versus PY sales. Yes, we do have the explanation that CY is current year versus previous year, and it's cost of goods and all that good stuff. But when I look at that, I see the color that we use for the previous year is the same color that we use for the pie chart. And I'm not a fan of pie chart. Some of our team members are, but myself, I'm not, because it can have its detrimentals. But in this case here, we have PY sales, and then we have decaf on the chart, pie chart there. So those colors are the same. So sometimes our brain is, okay, are you trying to tell is that do they relate? So this is where the similarity comes into picture. So that's one of the pieces there that I would possibly change. And then, of course, we talked about the explanation when it comes to the abbreviations. The other pieces that I would also change is when it comes to our map on the one that we have there. Yes, I see we have a block and we see the states that step and sip, which we love. That's one of our internal core products that we do have, step and sip. But I see we are around a lot of areas. So we're in Texas, we are in California, we're in Washington, we are in Missouri. I see we're all over the map, Florida and what have you. But we cannot really decipher from the brain perspective. Yes, I do see we have those locations, but as an executive looking at this, I want to be able to tell where do we need to apply more of our effort so that either we can increase our sales or either we can be able to, yeah, logically we can be able to increase our sales and profit margin and such. So this map here would not be able to tell me that. Yes, I do see that we do have a tooltip when Martin hovers over the images of different states. We do have that tooltip where I can be able to see the sales and the profit, but we want to be able to give our mind that cue of, by just virtue of looking at it, this is where we need to focus most, because sometimes you have some states that will be it's a self-oiled, well-oiled machine that's just running itself, but some they're struggling and you need to go do that push. So those are some of the key pieces that I would change. But from the story perspective, this one looks good, where I can be able to follow and determine what we have. I'll take it back to Martin. And I do see we have an improvement here. So let's dive into this one here.
As you can see here, those we have applied some of the few changes that that we have mentioned. Like, for example, now here, even if you don't know what is a CY, you just want, it's just popping up here. You can be able to see it's a current here, and for the map, you can be able to see that for real, like we have some of you few states like that is Illinois. There's we declined in sales compared to last year. So by just looking at it, you can be able to see, wow. So this is what is happening in here. And there's another one like Ohio, and there's Florida. So in that case, you can be able to make a decision just looking at the map. And also here, the color here, you can see this color does not relate with the previous year, so they are not related. And if when we say that grouping the things with the same color, you somehow tell the viewer that they are related. So in this case, you remove that kind of a biasness. And generally now, such kind of small things, you may think they are small, that they affect the viewer. And now this dashboard looks good. And now we shall continue with the rest of the
Okay, thank you, Martin. And we've seen really what you've been able to put out, and we have seen really the difference that these changes really do make in terms of the dashboard. And so I'm just coming in here to just create an addition to that and really understand now how do we want to balance the clarity and the aesthetics of our dashboard. And so looking at this, we really want to, the clarity aspect is the information that we are trying to pass across. And now the aesthetic aspect of our dashboard is now the principles that we are trying to apply. And we have talked about the use of color, the use of proximity, and the use of like common ground. And so here we've seen now Step and Sip has come along very well. And at Step and Sip, they actually serve some very nice cappuccino coffee. And so when you go to your barista and you tell them that I want that Step and Sip special cappuccino, the barista first starts by preparing the coffee beans. The coffee is then grounded, and then finally they put the froth, and then they are now able to create the lava that we all love to see, or that custom thing that you want to see on top of your cappuccino cup. And so now the coffee beans is the information that we are trying to put across. And so that's the very basic thing that we start with, and that's the clarity aspect of our dashboard. The flower or the lavas that you love to see on top of your coffee is now the aesthetic part. And so we first start with the clarity aspect of our dashboards and then finish up with the aesthetic part of our dashboard. And so I now want to give it back to Edgar, who will guide us on our next topic as we continue to step and sip through our dashboards. Welcome, Edgar.
Yes, thank you, Stanley. I can say, well, I'm already stepping and sipping. So we've seen how the Gestalt principle improve our visual understanding. So how do they tell a story? So building visuals, as you can see, what Martin is currently presenting, it's not just about visual presentation. Actually, it's telling me a story, and through it, I can be able to make insights. You see, I can be able to make decision, and it will also help me to make action. So in the next session, we'll see how this principle will be able to help our organization, help our dashboard to tell a story. So back to you, Sammy. How do you use this principle to tell a narrative structure of our dashboard? Thank you.
Thank you, Edgar. And now we want to go back to now that the storytelling aspect of our dashboards. And we all know that each piece of data tells a story. And so how do we use these Gestalt principles to effectively pass the story that we are trying to put across? And I want to relate this to your favorite book that you have read. And one of the reasons that you enjoyed the book that you read is because the chapters were building up on each other in a very effective way, that you even found yourself that you are lost in the book and you found that you don't want to put it down. And so the same thing, we just want to build our dashboards in a way that we are guiding you in a way that you find yourself immersed in the dashboard and you feel that you are getting uh, information that you even don't want to get away from it. And so here we speak about the principles of continuity, and we've said how our line of vision starts from the top left side and then moving across, coming to the bottom left, and then moving now to the further right, to the further bottom right of our dashboards. And so now this allows us to have like an easy flow of our visual, so we move smoothly through the dashboard. We've spoken about how similarity helps us to group like different KPIs and metrics together. And so this is just a visual cue that eases your eye and enables you to see that this is a different group of metrics, these are different group of metrics, and these are different group of metrics. And so what these principles really do is that they reinforce the theme and the story that the dashboard is trying to pass across. And so we are able to create some sort of rhythm and predict some sort of predictions in our dashboard, which are key in storytelling. And so we look at our dashboards as just not a tool for viewing, but it's a tool for persuasion, insights, and even urgency. And so this is something that is a decision making tool for you. And so we don't want to get you we don't want to lose you, just as Edgar said, got lost in the forest. So we don't want to lose you in our dashboard. We want to guide you so that you are able to find your way and you're able to get the information that you want to gain from our dashboard. And so I just want to pull back Martin here. And Martin, can you tell us if you have ever come across a dashboard that tells a story too well that sometimes it may feel that it's sort of misleading or biased?
Thank you, Sammy. An example of a misleading design is a campaigning dashboard. Let's say you are campaigning for a new product in the market, and you can use your dashboard to misuse one of these principles. So you present a dashboard as a campaign dashboard, but you only highlight the positive outcome, like conversion, reaching, how people have liked, like all those good things. You present them in a bold, colorful visuals. Meanwhile, important negative metrics like budget overspent during the product campaign, and also maybe there were low engagement, you hide them, maybe small grade, and then you present them at the bottom side of your dashboard. So in this case, you create a biased narrative, giving the impression that the campaign was maybe entirely successful, and stakeholders might make a decision based on incomplete view, not even realizing the full picture. So in dashboard, what you emphasize tells the story. And if you emphasize only the wins, you risk misleading the audience. And I want Arena to come and tell us, where do you see the overlap between the storytelling and the user journey in dashboard?
Thank you. And yes, you're very right. From product perspective, you want to make sure, I'm just trying to enhance on that point there. You want to make sure that it's the story that I want to tell, right? So I want it to be my story. I don't want it to be somebody else's story. So if I want to highlight and show those, the success of a product, that's a story that I want to tell, even though there has been a journey where Edgar is lost in a jungle. But out of all that, we found him, and now that's a good story that we tell that, hey, we have Edgar here as one of our panelists. So the one thing that I love about the dashboard that you have here, Martin, is its simplicity. Because yes, sometimes we as developers or analysts, we want to put information because you're trying to allow your users to make decisions based on the data that you have. But sometimes that data can be overwhelming. So when you have simplicity in dashboard perspective or report perspective, it allows your users to be able to see the story that you're trying to tell much easier. So in this case that we do have here, I see the story that you're trying to convey is that our sales are good, our cost of goods sold is good, our profit margin are good, but we need to do something about our inventory. So that's the story that I gathered there initially by just looking at this dashboard here. So now my focus goes to inventory. What's going on? Is it the supply chain? Is it why is our inventory numbers going down? So we want to handle that as quickly as possible. So so that's one of the key pieces when you're telling the story and the journey itself. But if you followed what I just did there, is I looked at the initial line at the very top. Because if you think of it, when you go to, let's say, a supermarket, you go to Walmart, you go to your Target or even the mall, the first thing that happens is if you don't have a specific product that you're going to look for, or if you don't have a specific area of the store that you're going to, as humans, we normally walk in and we turn right. So you always find that all those delicacies, the quick bite, the stuff that grab and go, they will always be on your right hand side because it's the first part that we turn to. So in that, it's the same situation here as Sami had conveyed. We start at the very top, we go across. So I can tell now with the high level KPIs what needs to happen. And then now I can hone in, okay, now we see that, yes, despite the fact that our sales are good, there are some months that may actually from this year versus last year, we're doing tremendous because I can see the chart there other than the month of June, where June, July, August, where the previous year had higher numbers, but we are able to make those ones up by the months down the road. And then from the map perspective, I can see there's something going on in Florida, there's something going on in Indiana, there's something going, so the red states that I do see there, and also Ohio. So now I can hone in on that and figure out, okay, what's going on from sales perspective in these states, despite the fact that the rest of them have been able to pull our numbers up, but now the focus goes there. So I can see the story that this dashboard is telling us, which is we need to figure out about our inventory. We need to figure out what's going on with these states. From our product perspective, the South region seems to be lagging behind, but West is doing amazing. And then there's what we call the spark lines. So the spark lines there, which is the table that we have, it shows me the trend. So from state to state, I can see how that trend is progressing. So whether it's for sales, whether it's for cost of goods, whether it's for profit, I can see that trend. So that spark line is communicating to me so that I can be able to quickly make decisions on what I need to go do or how my day is going to go so that we can be able to continue improving our business. So from the storytelling to the user journey, so those are some of the cues that you do need to provide because they allow the users to see the story that you want to tell, and then also allows your users to determine what needs to happen next, what needs to happen next on a day-to-day level so that they can be able to improve the business and be able to move things forward. So with that, let me go back to Martin and let's talk about a little bit of the cues that you give your users as just to enhance on that point.
Thank you, Leonard. So let's talk about something simple but very powerful. It's guiding your audience eyes. In dashboards, attention is like a currency. It's very important. If users don't know where to look at, the first time they see your dashboard, they want to know what matters most. And we are going to break this, and I'm going to give you some of the few real world scenario that the site has not been guided well. So imagine a scenario where there's a sales decline, maybe hidden in a site. Imagine a sales dashboard where the revenue is declining, but the graph is small and in the bottom right corner with no bold text or even a color cue. So users miss this insight, and it's a very important insight. So instead, maybe use a bold red arrow, a font that you can be able to see, and place it in a top, top if it's the most important key of your storytelling, of your story that you are telling. You place it at the top left of your dashboards. Another scenario is a dashboard that tracks the marketing performance, leads, conversion, and social reach impressions, each with its own loud color. So there are a lot of metrics, and then each metrics you give it its own color. So the viewer is like overwhelmed. What do the color means? I'm unsure what is the most important. So in such a case, you don't use a lot of colors. Use color only for emphasis, like green for goals meant and red for underperformance, and keep the rest maybe neutral. So as in another scenario is a campaigning dashboard that we had talked about. So in this case, I'm going to tell you on how you can be able maybe to arrange. For example, campaigning budget is very important. So make sure you place it at top left, and then things like engagement, you place them at the middle, and the bottoms, you can place things like the sales layout. So these layouts for the campaign life cycle, it will guide the users thinking from investment, because investment in a new product is very important, and the performance. So, and the last one is like a financial dashboard. What do you want to see in a financial dashboard? It's actually the profit. So a financial dashboard shows revenue and expense in cards, but profit is buried somewhere. You cannot be able in a table that you cannot be able to see. So users miss the most important critical part. So as we continue with this, let us understand it's the story you are telling. Understand your story. What do you want to your viewers to see and to understand? So that's how you make a feel good dashboard. So Lennon, do you find the annotation and tool tips helpful in guiding the cues, guiding the leaders, guiding the viewers on where they're supposed to look? Yeah.
They do. They do because as I mentioned earlier, tooltip, you can actually, the one thing that I love about Power BI as a product is the ability to create a very elaborate and comprehensive tooltip. So despite the fact that you can be able to, like, for instance, if you have over one of your dashboards there, one of your reports. Let's say in that scenario there, we have the state of Illinois and we can see our current year sales, previous year sales, but I can include a lot more in that card that just pop out there. I can be able to include another visual on top of it. So this allows my users, they don't have to go search for this information. So the tooltips are amazing. Annotations, they're amazing. So just like the way we were talking about the trend, because I can see upward trend, downward trend. So these are some of the cues that are so important to our dashboard because they communicate a lot. But there's also, I've seen scenarios where our users, especially if they are new to the dashboarding or they are new to the reports, they are not aware that, hey, if I click on this report, it will be able to filter out the rest of what I see. Or if I hover over this report, it will be able to show me other details for that report. So there's that piece there as well. So you also want to give that cue that if this drill through, drill down, there's tool tips that you can be able to utilize within your report so that you can be able to get much more detailed data or go to the detail of the meat of the actual report. So yes, absolutely, they are very, very important. And I will give it back to you because I think those are some of the key pieces that we do have.
Thank you, Leonard, and for really showing us how those pieces come across and how we can use to improve our dashboard. And so I want to take it back to Edgar, who will now guide us to our final topic for this session.
Yes, thank you, Sammy. And as we're moving on to the final session, we'll now translate theory into action. So I can see Martin has pulled out our dashboard. So in this dashboard, we are going to examine the common challenges that are going to affect the usability and the storytelling. So Martin, Leonard, and Sami are going to analyze the visual structure. They are going to show us what's missing, what's unclear, and provide the different suggestions. So this is where the Gestalt principle now take the center stage. So back to you, Martin. Guide us.
Thank you, Leonard. Now, this is where now we see the practical. We've been just talking, but now here you see these three things. Now you can be able to see where how the principles has been violated, and we will start with some of the few principles. I'm going to guide you, and also my team is going to share some of the few pieces that has been violated in this dashboard. Let's start with something like the KPIs. These KPIs, they compete for no attention. The viewer, they don't know where to look. There's no visual anchor or an obvious starting point. You don't know even where to start. So that's the first part. The second part uh, is the similarity. The visuals uses the same like purple tones, even the matrix with an opposing meaning. For example, here is a negative at at the at the top right. This is a negative 279K, but they all use the same color. So this reduces the readability and introduces confusion. Something else is that we talked about common region and grouping things in a common place. Like look, for example, here we have like order versus build, and we have like received orders. Those things, if you grouped the orders in the same group, this would have made sure that the viewers understand that we are talking about the orders, and if it's maybe its amount and the performance and the profit, you group them in another scenario. We also talked about where you miss the important part of a dashboard. This is a sales dashboard, and you want to know whether the business is making profit, but look where the profit margin is placed at the bottom right. So even as a, if maybe you are an executive and you want to see whether your business is making profit, absolutely in this case you will feel like you don't know which decision to make, because the dashboard doesn't give you the most important part. So with that, I want Leonard to come and chime in and give more of what is not applied in this case in this dashboard.
All right. So yes, this one here is it's lacking in so many ways. So it's like very you can't even follow the story itself. And I'll tie this with a question that I do see in the audience, which is when you apply the colors, your organizational colors, what's our take on that? So if you look at this dashboard, most likely when this dashboard was put together, maybe the company was really using their colors when they put this dashboard together. But sometimes you have to look at how does the colors lay out based on the dashboard that you want to be able to see. So in this case here, so the pink with black background, and then also our titles for whatever the card names that we do have, it's so hard to read. So it becomes an issue there where, yes, you want to apply the colors for your organization, but then on the same concept, you also want to be able to allow your users to follow the cues that you're giving them on the dashboard, so that it becomes easier to consume and absolutely be able to tell the story that you do want to have. So whatever the business colors that you do have, whatever the organizational colors that you do have, you want to apply them, but apply them diligently so that your users can be able to see the story. So that's one of the pieces there from color perspective. And then, as Martin said, there is a lot that we can be able to cherry pick on this dashboard here to really figure out what's really happening, because I can tell the story that there is in this dashboard. So yeah, I think we should just trash this dashboard here. That's my take.
Okay, thank you, Leonard, for that chime in. And so also just tying that to a question that we have on the chat about now the recommended number of KPIs or the number of charts that we really need to put into our dashboard. And so when you look at the dashboard on the screen, we find that we have too many KPIs that it even becomes hard for you to know what to focus on or what not to focus on. And so as a rule of the book for me, I think I prefer you having like 5 key KPIs on your dashboard. And I think that really makes it easier for your users to get a feel of what you are really trying to portray. And I think the same also applies the number of charts. You don't want to crowd your dashboard with too many charts. And so So also the same applies the number of charts. So have just the charts that show like the key metrics, and so don't overcrowd your dashboard. And so as we conclude, and as we have seen how we've learned about the Gestalt principles, now the question is, what is the next thing for us as users? Maybe you are sitting there as a business executive. Maybe you are sitting there as a consumer of these reports, and you're feeling like, yes, I have a dashboard that needs some type of work. I have a dashboard that needs to be done well. Now, what's the next thing for you? And so for this, I'd like to invite Leonard, who is going to guide us on now. How do we move on from here now that we know about these principles? How do we use this to the benefit of us as the end users? So welcome, Leonard, for your call to action remarks.
Thank you, Sammy, and thank you, panel here, and thank you for the stories. Matt, I do see a quick question that I want to address before I get to call to action, which I think is very important whenever you're designing a dashboard. You want to have a maximum of about 3 questions, maybe a maximum of 4 questions that you want to answer in a dashboard. So that drives the number of KPIs that you want to do. So usually our rule of thumb on this side is usually we try to answer 3 questions in a dashboard. And yes, the good thing is you can have multiple pages. So if it's a sales report, I can do sales report. I can do an inventory report. I can do accounting report. I can do HR report and all that. I don't have to plan them all together. So a maximum of for us, rule of thumb is about 3 questions. That's what we answer in a dashboard. But I would say, depending on the data that you're looking at, maybe a 4 would be pushing it so hard. So that's one of the key pieces there. Now, as you guys have seen, or as the panel here have kind of depicted, we go through this on regular basis. As a matter of fact, this is one of the dashboards that we had from one of our clients, and we took that and we were able to transform it so that they can be able to make decisions out of it. So being in this industry for as long as we have and having seen different concepts, that allows us to be able to bring to the table a lot of in-field knowledge, as well as the knowledge itself, and working together with your team, that makes it easier for us, for you to be able to now guide you, for us to be able to guide you to the story that you're trying to tell. And yes, before we actually go through any of the projects that we do, we have first of all to understand what's the story that you're trying to tell, not just the dashboard perspective, because that's a cherry on top, but like from the inception of the data. So you have go gather the data, figure out the ingestion process, guide you from the storage perspective. Are we storing our data in cloud? Are we storing our data on-prem? Do we need to build a pipeline? Do we need to build a data warehouse? Do we need to build cubes? All that stuff, they come together. So whenever we get engaged in such projects, it's, yes, I understand you want to show a dashboard that has all these key pieces, but is your data complete? Is your data clean? So all those are different pieces that we do bring to the table, so that we can be able to provide you a meaningful and storyful, whichever, I think I just came up with a word there, that will be able to tell the story of what you want to convey. So we are looking forward to working with you. We are looking forward to, even if it's just questions, I have this dashboard. What would you guys recommend, or what would your team do different when it comes to this dashboard here? We love to answer those questions, because we eat, sleep, and step and sip on data, because that's our passion. And I'll give it back to the panel.
Yes, thank you so much. And I can really feel the time is not on our side. And for our viewers, in case you have any question, you can actually follow us on our socials. That's Amni on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, and also on Facebook. So thank you, panelists. This has been a very informative, very it has been a learning moment, and I'm sure the audience have enjoyed. So thank you so much for your time, and I can tell it has been your time, Swat. So if you want more information about this, you can actually connect with us, and thank you once more. Goodbye.